Hello everybody, welcome to episode 12 of Shelf Review, where today we'll be going episodes 4 through 6 of Jujutsu Kaisen Season 3, Part 1. Now, to get into it, episode 4 was the one I have been waiting for forever. I could not wait for this episode to be animated, and Mappa did phenomenally. So, episode 4 starts with Maki going to the Zen'in clan's headquarters and going to acquire their cursed tools because she has gotten permission from Megumi, who is now the head of the Zen'in clan. So she's going to acquire the tools, no ulterior motives as of yet. Then she runs in with Naoya briefly, and he has some snarky remarks to make. And then eventually she ends up making it to the basement area where the tools are held. And when she gets there, she sees Mai, who is her sister, who is wounded, because she had went in there previously. And Ogi, their father, was waiting for them. And Ogi and Maki briefly fight. Ogi ends up beating Maki because what we see is Maki breaks his blade with Dragon Bone, but he then uses cursed energy to once again essentially reform his blade. And, well, he doesn't reform it, but he takes the broken blade and he extends it with cursed energy, making like a almost lightsaber type sword. And with that, he then slashes her. Maki and Mai are then left in the basement to be killed by grade 2 and lower cursed spirits, where they're held in the Zen'in clan for training, the headquarters for training. But then, after that, Mai and Maki briefly go into a state of unconsciousness where they are together. And in this, Mai ends up giving up her cursed energy to Maki so that Maki can make a heavenly pact and become absurdly powerful, which happens. Because she arises and with a new blade, which Mai has granted her in their little realm of unconsciousness, slimes everything out. She kills Ogi, she kills all the cursed spirits, and then she escapes. Well, no, she doesn't escape, but she forays into the main parts of the Zen'in clan headquarters. And they're waiting for her because they have felt her cursed energy and they know that Ogi has been killed. So they're like, okay, we gotta prepare to take down Maki. But they're expecting a Maki before the Heavenly Pact. Because Maki goes in there and she's fighting kind of the goons, the grunts of the Zen'in clan, who are all these people in white. You've probably seen the scene of her going around sliming them all. But it then shifts to a scene of black and white, white, gray, and she kills all of them. And the floor is just coated red and everything. So this scene is awesome. Like, it's not, like, it's high level animation because it's Mappa. But, like, it's nothing exemplary when it comes to animation, yet it is still impactful. Like, it's still really good. And then after that, we see Mai progressing on to fight the Hei. And Hei are the top of the Zen'in clan. Your Naoya, the Jinchiki or something, I believe that's his name, and stuff like that, like the really high members. And so she's fighting them, and there's this one dude with like gravity powers, and he's able to hold her down for a bit. And they're fighting, and it looks like Maki might have come out on top, but then he realizes that she is far more stronger and that she is similar to Toji. They say that she is like him, and she slowly breaks out of that, ends up killing the Jinchiki guy or whatever his name is, or Jinichi, I don't remember. I know it started with a J, and then she kills the other guy. Now is time for Naoya versus Maki. This fight, I forgot about it. Like I said, I've read the manga all the way in the English, so I'm all the way up to volume 28, and I forgot about this fight. This fight was phenomenal. The animation was insane. Like, the Naoya vs. Maki fight is honestly probably, I would say, top 5 fights in all of Jujutsu Kaisen for me, because that was a crazy fight. It looked phenomenal animated. And in the end, eventually, Maki does end up winning after a relatively long struggle and fight. And with that, she punches, because she is able to slowly, throughout the fight, she slowly builds up what Naoya's ability is, because his ability is to move at 24 frames per second, because he's able to move at a speed of 1/24th of a second. And she realizes this, and at the end, she just absolutely smites him with a punch, and it shatters the entirety of his side of his face. Like, it shows it disintegrate in the scene, like some Mortal Kombat fatality or something like that. So it was really cool. But and then after that, we have Maki going to find her mother. Now, this is a very kind of almost chilling scene, because she's calling for her mother as almost a kid who's come to tell their mom they've had a nightmare, or they're looking for their mom for a snack or something like that. You go make them a lunch or something like that. And she's going, mother, and she eventually finds her and kills her. I forgot to mention one thing that was cool about when Maya was fighting the Hay. She was ripping people's jugulars out. Like, she was just snatching them. And I just thought that was really cool. But yeah, back to her mother. But she kills her mother, and her mother ends up finding Naoya, and stabbing him. So Naoya is dead too, because he crawled back to the headquarters, since Maki didn't technically kill him, but she had shattered his face. But yeah, that's really how episode 4 ends, predominantly. And they see Maki leaving the clan, and it mentions how they did not know who had killed the Zen'in clan, and everyone else in the Zen'in clan had been killed, besides Megumi, obviously. But yeah, they mention all that, and they mention how there was residual cursed energy in their bodies. But so to recommend, well, not to recommend, but to indicate that they were killed by a curse tool, which is true, because she used the blade that Maya had given her to kill them. But then, after that, we progress on to episode 5. Now, episode 5 mainly is build-up for getting to meet Hakari, because Hakari, who's one of my goats, he's in top 5, I know that much. But we see Hakari, and we see Yuji and Megumi attempting to enter into the Fight Club, which Hikari has technically illegally made because it's against Jujutsu sorcery, like laws and codes. And so with that, they progress, they're trying to get in, and eventually they meet up, and Megumi's kind of doing the talking, but the Hikari sees him over the cameras, and he's like, okay, I want you to send Yuji in. So he ends up sending Yuji in. They are not known to be affiliated with Jujutsu High yet. So he goes in and needs to fight. And in the earlier portion of this episode, we got some backstory about Panda. Well, not backstory, but story about Panda and Yaga. But yeah, so we have that. And earlier on in the episode, prior to this happening, we see Yaga eventually be killed by Gakuganji and this other guy due to the fact that he knows how to make living cursed corpses. And this is suddenly frowned down upon by the Jujutsu headquarters and higher-ups. So he is killed. And we see Panda pull up on the scene right as Gakuganji has just killed Yaga. And he comes in, and Gakuganji thinks he's going to have to fight. But no, he runs over to Yaga, because Panda's a very, not pacifistic, but he is a very calm and kind character. He does not seek revenge. But he's holding Yaga in his arms, and he says a line that says that even pandas cry. And that sign hurt. That scene hurt, because he's just holding there crying, and even pandas cry. Like, dang, that got me. But yeah, back to that. Yuji pulls up, and Panda is there to fight him. They have this goofy little, like, wrestling fight, pro wrestling fight, since pro wrestling isn't real. But, well, it's real, but it's not as extreme as you're made to believe it is. It's performative. But, yeah, so with that, we see Panda and Yuji fight. I mean, it's a really cool fight. They're fighting in 3D, as Hikari says, because he's just, like, slinging them up and all that, and they're tapping each other, even though it looks like they're hitting each other hard. But then, after that, Yuji is eventually allowed to go up and meet Hakari. And he goes up there to meet Hakari, or Hakari. I kind of pronounce it two ways occasionally. But he goes up there and he's talking with him. They're talking about gambling and passion. And with that, they're yapping, and eventually Hakari gets a phone call. And he's sitting there, and he's like, hey, well, he asked about Satoru Gojo. And Yuji's like, who's Satoru Gojo? Because he's stupid and he doesn't realize that everyone knows who Gojo is. And he's like, you're with Jujutsu High, aren't you? And he throws his, like, whiskey glass at him. I thought that scene was hilarious. Like, Yuji dodges and all of that. It was hilarious. I loved that scene. And then they got to get up to scuffling in the office a little bit. And then we learn that Megumi has called something outside, and Hakari knew that something was going on because Kirara ended up calling him, and that only happens when there's something going on. So that moves us on directly into episode 6. Episode 6 predominantly focuses around Kirara and Megumi fighting, and Megumi and Panda. Well, that starts off, we kind of see the progression up to it. We see Megumi taking people out, and eventually they end up on the roof, and Kirara is there. So Kirara begins the fight, and he has a very unique power to where, okay, well, I don't mean to be insensitive, but they refer to him as he in the show, so that's what I'm going to refer to Kirara as, since that's what they use in the show. I'm not trying to be insensitive or anything like that, but yeah. But, yeah, so Kirara ends up using his curse technique on Panda and Megumi and Divine Dog and eventually the rabbits. Whatever. I can't even remember what the technique for them is called. They're the horde of rabbits. You know what they are. But, yeah. So he ends up using it, and they slowly throughout the episode try and figure out what like makes his technique tick. Like first they figure out that it is based on the South Cross constellation, and eventually they didn't realize that to make contact with Kirara, you have to touch each of the stars in the constellation in order until you get to Kirara's star. Because Panda and Megumi are able to get close to each other, but when something of the same star gets near them, it gets dragged for them. For instance, we see Panda get hit with a car because the car has the same star on it as he does. I believe it's Imai. Yeah, they both have Imai on them. And we see Megumi get drugged to Divine Dog because they both have the same, I believe it's Arcus? Something like that. But, yeah, they get drugged to each other because they have the same star. And eventually, they go through this really cool scene where Panda and Megumi touch, then they end up touching, I don't remember what it was. They touch a coin, then they touch the rabbit, and they throw the rabbit down in Kirara, and then Kirara eventually cancels his curse technique, and they end up talking. So they're like, okay, well, I'll hear you out. Because slowly throughout this, they've been telling them how they're not with Jujutsu High. They just want to save Gojo because Gojo's been imprisoned. And they're like, okay. Well, Kirara is like, okay. And then, after that, we see Yuji get thrown out of the door of Hakari's office, and they're throwing down. Not necessarily Yuji fighting back, but Hakari, apparently just beating him up. He's like, I'll listen to you, I'll do what you want, if you can stand. And with that, we see him get beat up, and Hakari is obviously impressed by Yuji's durability. And then with that, eventually he's like, okay, I'll hear you out, I'll work with you. Then, at the end of the episode, it swaps over and it shows a very cool character, Kashimo. And it shows Kashimo setting the rule for kind of giving all the identifiers of the people in the games, like how many points they have, how many points they've spent, what sector they're in, and all that stuff. So yeah, that is the introduction of Kashimo, which will probably be developed upon in episode 7. So yeah, that was a really interesting set of episodes. I really, really enjoyed episode 4. And one thing I forgot to mention in episode 4 was it was kind of offsetting when she was absolutely massacring the Zen'in clan, because throughout all of that, it's playing really like country bumpkin giddy music, like as country bumpkin as Japan can get. And I was like, this is not serious. That's the thing. It's often compared to Itachi's massacre of the Uchiha clan, and I will always like Itachi's massacre more because there was just pure emotion. Because Itachi was still doing it. He killed his own parents. He was killing many people, and yes, Obito was there killing people as well, but Itachi was he was doing what he believed he had to do. And it's just, you can see him breaking down. And you know he feels guilt for that. But in Maki's case, it was also not equally, but almost as good, because it was also pure emotion, but just pure hatred and revenge because of what they had taken from her, which was Mai. And her, I guess, ability to perceive herself as human when she was younger. But she slowly became to accept herself, and this has now enabled her to get the revenge that she needs. And it is just really, really cool, because it is pure emotion, but it's like, it kind of reminds me of Kenpachi Zaraki fighting in a way, because she's giddy, she's ready to kill these people, and she's happy. She's like a battle joy, if that can be anything, a rage and joy coexisting. But yeah, so that episode 4 is most certainly my favorite out of that set, but 5 and 6 were also really good as well, and I love 6 because it broke down a relatively complex curse technique very well. So, yeah, so I guess my next JJK episode review will probably come after episode 9, because I like doing this in fourths. So, yeah, thank you for watching episode 12 of Shelf Review, and that's all.